メビウス博士が決めてくれた人気を消し集中できる機能があります。試しますか？
Yo, hello. How are you guys doing? We are finally back after 1 month with another Honkai Lore, Lore discussion stream. I'm happy to see that so many of you tuned in. Let me know how is the audio. Honestly, I haven't streamed in so long. I almost forgot everything that I learned. But on my end, everything seems fine. Hi, sorry about the CN beta message. Don't worry. I'm gonna say this now at the beginning. Please do not mention anything story related from CN. That means do not talk about anything from chapter 38 and do not mention even the new battlesuit at all. While I know that the battlesuit is pretty much common knowledge by this point, there still might be some people that are not aware, so I don't want to risk spoiling anyone. Today we will talk only about the chapters that are released in global. That means chapters 36 and chapter 37. So yeah. by the way, is discussing the 6.7 PV or no, not even the PV, since it was not released on global yet. We can talk about Kira being a new playable Valkyrie, since that was announced, but nothing more than that. I know it's frustrating, and it's not just you; it's also me. Trust me. I would like to talk about the latest story chapter, but unfortunately, it is what it is. We are behind by 4 weeks, and some people do like to keep up with the story on CN. Some people do not like to keep up, and we must respect the choice of other people. Okay. Audio's fine, awesome. I had 2 tabs of the stream open. I thought Kira was Claymore. Yeah, well, me too initially. Everybody hoped that she will be Claymore, and then they dropped her as a pistol user. Alas, I think it makes sense, but Claymore would have been a lot more cooler. So a bit of a roadmap for today. Like usual, I will try to do a very short recap of what happened in chapters 36 and 37. And after that we will talk about some of the points that some of the more interesting points from chapter 37 in particular, because chapter 36 was more so just a setup chapter, nothing really noteworthy happens there. I am also working on a video about this, and just as a quick disclaimer, to be fair to everybody, I know what is going to happen in chapter 38 because I gave in and looked at the fan translations, but I will not mention anything related. I will try to erase every piece of information that I have about that chapter from my memory, and I will only talk about things that are out on global. But yeah, just so that you know, I know everything that will happen, at least in the first 2 acts, since only those are out for now. Have you been doing good, Homo? It's been a while. Yeah, I've been very busy. Had a really rough couple of weeks. I was sick. I couldn't stream for the last 2 weeks because my throat hurt like hell. I was barely able to talk. But this week things got a lot better. I also have a lot more time. I barely even work on some videos. But right now I am working on 3 at the same time. So yeah, that's interesting. I'm working on a video about the new story arc. I'm working on a very big video explaining the entire concept of the Honkai universe and how each and every game is related to each other. And I'm also working on a shorter video about Kira's backstory, because many people are confused about her and don't really know how she got into the Sea of Quanta, how she was in Durandal visual novel, and how she got here today. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to finish some of them by next week and release as time goes on. Do you plan to make your avatar alive 2D, the one you use all the time in your videos? I plan to change my avatar sometimes in the future. I mean, change the design, because some of you might know, some I even got some comments on my videos. I initially started using this avatar on another channel. Believe it or not, Homo Labs is not my first YouTube channel. I've been making content on YouTube since 2016, but I was one and off, and I had another channel which I been using this avatar initially, and I had this avatar made specifically for the channel, but I dropped that channel, and now I'm only doing videos on Homo Labs, and to me it always felt a bit out of place. So this year I planned to redesign my avatar to make it fit better the concept of my channel. And maybe after I redesign the avatar, in the future, maybe I will do a live 2D, or maybe even a full 3D model and go full VTuber, who knows. Yeah, this was a piece of Homo Labs lore. The whole abnormal stigma thingy in chapter 37 act 2 confused me at first, but conceptually they're similar to Star Whisperers from the Dudu visual novel, right? Kinda. I mean, you can look at it that way, but it makes sense. I don't think this story arc is that confusing. But sure, you can look at it that way. Where can I play the Dudu visual novel? I don't have a link at hand right now, but I think if you search on the Google Durandal visual novel in English, it will pop out. Keep in mind, none of the visual novels are officially translated in English, so everything you will find on the internet is fan translated. But they are pretty good, pretty good. Is the new avatar going to be part of the Homo family? In a way, okay, so I wrote a lot of lore behind this supposedly new avatar, which I will slowly reveal as I will have the avatar at hand. But just so you know, it has its own lore, and yes, it's connected to the Homus. But I'm not gonna say more than that for now. Homo, have you seen the new battlesuit right you're gonna pull? Yes, I've seen it. Like I said in the beginning, let's not talk about the new battlesuit for now. But yes, I'm gonna pull. She's basically a must pull. If you want to be at least slightly competitive. What do you think about MG's video about Honkai is a neon? I mean, there are a lot of theories, and just like MG, I think a lot of people made a correlation between Honkai and neons. But the truth is that we still lack a lot of information. It's an interesting theory for now. To be honest, I think that Honkai is closer to Stellarons than Eons. I mean, the concept of Honkai, yes. The concept of Honkai is a lot closer to the concept of Stellaron, because the concept of Honkai energy But if we look at what's behind the Honkai, which is the cocoon of finality, that's a concept closer to eons in nature, because at the end of the day, what is Honkai energy? Is imaginary energy under the influence of a higher dimensional being, which is very similar to the Stellaron, in a sense, thematically at least. Do you think that the Project Stigma Aftermath will result in the revival of some characters? Revival of some characters? What exactly do you mean by that? Bringing some characters back to life as Stigmata? Because that was theoretically always possible, not only after Project Stigma, but who knows? By the way, Homo, what is your big points for the chapter discussion today? Well, I have quite a few. First would be Cele herself and how she correlates with the concepts of life and death, which are the primarily themes for the story arc. Then the concept of this strange bubble universe that is basically formed by two bubble universes. I want to talk about the Sage. I want to talk about Vita, who is the most sus character in a while. And I want to talk about the separation of the two Celes and why I think that they will not reunite not even after this story arc is over. And those are pretty much the main points I want to touch upon today, and of course I will try to answer your questions to the best of my abilities. I'm still kinda confused with the whole bubble universe thing. So Salt, Snow, and Salt and Snow Holy City is that one area that the bubble universe planet country, or it's like an entire galaxy, but we only get to the city. No, bubble universes are very different from regular worlds. That's a distinction that you should make. Bubble universes exist in the Sea of Quanta, and they are usually fragmented and are much smaller in scale than a regular universe. They even say in this chapter that it's very strange for this bubble universe to even have a moon, because usually in the bubble universes the celestial bodies like the moon, the sun, the sky are ornamental, meaning that they are fake. Now what's weird about this bubble universe is the fact that there are actually two bubble universes existing in the same space, which will be further explained down the line. But for now, we will only use the information that we have in chapter 37. Having two Celes isn't a bad idea. You can get more different battles based on them. Yes. Because normally they take the time, their time, giving older characters new battlesuits nowadays. It's much rarer for a character to get a new battlesuit. It's not like back in the day when there were popping out battlesuits for every character left and right. So having two different Celes means that we will get more Cele battlesuits. We won't have to wait that long. Do the people inside the Salt and Snow Holy City know that they are inside the bubble universe that is so small? I mean, they kinda know. From the dialogue that we saw in chapter 37, they realize that their world is very small, and they actually acknowledge Cele, Susana as outsiders, meaning that they realize the basic layout of their of their bubble universe. I don't think that they realize the whole concept of the Sea of Quanta and how it works in depth, but they are aware of their own world, at least, from the looks of it. Crystogenics, we won't talk about that today. Like I said in the beginning, I don't want to mention anything related to chapter 38. For those of you, like I said, interested in the new battlesuit, like I said, it will be explained in the new story chapter when it will come on global, and after the chapter will be out, I will do another stream when we will go over everything. But for now, I don't want to enter spoiler territories. I know that this is a Honkai channel, but do you think that the new chapter may give us some hint about Teyvat's true nature? I mean, there are a lot of coincidences. By the way, hello Jokin. Right, I've been thinking about this myself. Because one of the things that they emphasize this chapter is the fact that the bubble universes have strange laws that are separated from the real world. And one of the main thing about Genshin is them mentioning how Teyvat has its own laws. They even slap it on loading screens. Then this chapter goes even more in depth in saying that usually bubble universes have ornamental celestial bodies, which basically means they have the sky is fake. Which again, we know that it's thing in Genshin. Then, when we think about chapter 17, that's where the confusion comes on my part, because in chapter 17, Otto was using the second divine key to look at other worlds on the imaginary tree, from our understanding. But they showed us Dvalin from Genshin, and they also showed us Fallen Rosemary from the Captain verse. But here's the issue. Fallen Rosemary was in the Sea of Quanta with the captain, not on the imaginary tree. And in the same chapter, Otto makes the distinction behind the imaginary tree and the Sea of Quanta, and tells us that they are different in nature, meaning that if you are in the Sea of Quanta, you're not on the imaginary tree. You're somewhere between the branches of the imaginary tree, in a puddle created from the data from all the words surrounding it. So yeah, that is very confusing. So there are some explanation, like maybe we still don't know everything about the Sea of Quanta and the imaginary tree, and maybe they are more connected than we initially thought, which I don't think is the case. Or maybe the devs, it was a dev oversight, which I think it's most likely the case. It's Fallen Rosemary, a being of higher order, so she may have the ability to travel where she wants, when she wants. I mean, it's implied that she's at least the same as the captain, but we don't know what that implies, so we can only speculate. And there's conflicting information about how they describe that moment, even in the Honkai media. For example, in the release trailer for Fallen Rosemary, the developers say that Otto was observing different worlds on the imaginary tree, which aligns with the lore from the game and from the manga. But if I remember correctly, in the Honkai Chronicles for May, the narrator actually says that Otto was looking in the Sea of Quanta. So yeah, I am confusion, to be honest. Okay, I think we can slowly begin. Like I said, we will do a very short recap. Let me bring up my desktop and play some music. Let me know how's the audio, if the music is too loud or too slow. And again, I will play some of the footage in the backgrounds from YouTube. This time it's Ogiru and again from Ira DLC. Shout out to them. So route too loud, it's fine. Okay, let me see if I can reduce it. Okay. Do you think that the unresolvable rule mentioned by Schrödinger plays a greater role in those two bubble universes? Yes, but that's something that it's related to the next chapter, so we'll talk about that most likely next stream. Alright, so quick recap for chapter 36. Cell and Susanna are sent to investigate a strange organization that popped up in Nagazora that is called Incognito. They discovered that the one behind this organization is one of the remaining Grey Serpents. I'm not gonna go into details, like I said, because it's mostly a setup chapter, not very relevant for the future developments. I mean, it is, but we will get to that later. And while pursuing this Grey Serpent, Cele and Susanna get trapped into the Sea of Quanta. There, the two Cele separate and are transported to two different bubble universes. Cele and Susanna arrive in the Salt Snow Holy City, while Dark Cele is transported to the country of Iron Sand. Cele and Susanna meet Shigurekira and, as you know, a very sus, if I may, resident called Vita. Let me go to her. Which again, like many people theorize, we have no confirmation, but come on, look at her. It's most likely a female variant of Sue, which was also teased during his dialogue in chapter 30, in Elysian Realm. And for those of you who are unaware, basically during one of the many dialogues in Elysian Realm, Sue tells May that a woman that is an alternate version of himself chased his consciousness through multiple worlds, and he described her as malicious with very powerful psychic abilities. And a lot of people have been wondering if Vita is this female Sue. Now, my opinion is that yes, she is a female Sue. That's evident by her hair, her eyes, even her clothing and all the pieces of accessory. But maybe the biggest giveaway is this mark on her neck, which is identical to Sue's mark. If you look at Sue, he has an identical mark, and in my opinion this is too much of a distinct future for them not to be alternate variants. Now, is she the same person that Sue talks about in ER? I don't know. From a writing perspective, it would make sense, but we do not have enough evidence to point that. Because otherwise, why would they introduce a female Sue? Uh, why wouldn't they introduce a female cow pass? If you know, there must be a reason why is specifically a female Sue here. Or is just Hoyoverse playing with us, which is fair game, yeah. Fry my brain even more. I honestly thought that female Sue, that Suman was a person, that the words of the imaginary tree, not bubble words, and that Vita was just a sea of quanta reflection of her. Maybe I misunderstood. No, Duck, you understood correctly, because Sue was referring on other words on the imaginary tree. But we know that Sue has the ability to travel in the sea of quanta, so I can't imagine why she couldn't. But then again, this is just speculation. We do not have any evidence to link Vita to that Sue for now. But we can pretty much confirm that she is indeed a female version of Sue. So that's the idea I wanted to have here. And at the same time, Dark Seller Valiona is transported to the country of Iron Sand, where she helps the residents who lost their physical forms and can only manifest in the forms of wisps. And apparently these wisps can maintain their form only if they bathe in moonlight. And they basically show us that if they do not do that, they will eventually fade away and disappear. And while Darkseller tries to figure things out, what's happening with this bubble universe, she learns about an entity called the Sage of the High Tower, and we basically learn that the Sage is some sort of deity, in a sense, that is worshipped by the people of both bubble universes. And of course, Sele tries to meet this sage, to ask them what is happening and how could she return to the proper world and reunite with Sele. And this is when a big plot twist happens. We see that the Hersher of Sentience is also here, and she's masquerading as the sage, fulfilling requests from the residents left and right by using her Hersher powers to control their sentience and create illusions for them. Would be fun if she turned out to be an evil version of Sue, but not the evil female Sue. Honestly, I don't even know what to say at this point. I think Act 3 will be out tomorrow on CN, and I hope that it will give us some answers. But yeah, it will be some time, quite some time until it will be out on Global. Back to Susanna, Sele, and Vita. This is very simple. Again, they try to learn more about this bubble universe. They learn about the Sage. And they learn about this very strange phenomena in this bubble universe. The concept of Afterlife. Apparently the residents of this bubble universe have a strong belief in the afterlife, in the sense that their belief is that when a person dies, the sage will transport their souls to the afterlife, which is the other bubble universe, the country of Iron Sand. And after they will also die, they will be able to reunite at some point with the loved ones. Meanwhile, interestingly enough, the people of the country of Iron Sand think that one day the sage will bring them back to life and they will be able to reunite with the loved ones in the world of the living. So it's very interesting to see how they perceive the people of the two different bubble universes perceive the story a bit differently. And after this, they decide to talk with the sage, because that would be their best bet to find the location of Dark Cele. But to do that, they must first meet one of the envoys of the sage, and to do that, as you know, they have to participate in this job selection program. Where's this funny moment when they must put up a performance as idols, and at the end of the performance they find out that lo and behold, the envoy of the sage is none other than Prometheus. After that, they question Prometheus about what's happening, and Prometheus starts telling them about her and Mistaline's journey through the Sea of Quanta, which marks the end of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2. Yeah, it's complicated with the name. Valiona is not a canon name. It's more so given by the community, and it's what I use usually. But I also use the name in some of my videos. But I got more than one complaint that her name is actually Cele, and I shouldn't use Valiona because it's confusing for newer players because they are not used to the name. So every time I stream or I mention Valiona in a video, I try to refer to her as either Dark Cele or Red Cele or something to differentiate them. Yes, it is mentioned in one of her skills, but she's never addressed as such in the story. It's never acknowledged by the characters in the story, Crystal. Cele will be even more confusing, to be honest. Yeah, but at least it's correct. Alright, moving on. Basically, we learned the story about Mistaline and Prometheus. They were, after the end of Project Stigma, they were hunting this so-called abnormal stigmata born in the Sea of Quanta due to the ripples caused in the sea by Project Stigma. Basically, Project Stigma affected even the Sea of Quanta and created these stigma crystals similar to Mistaline and to Dark Cele that have these strange powers. Thus, they are called abnormal stigmata. And we see here one that uses Chen Tianwu's data as a template and basically has the capability to transform into a monster and lose control of himself, and that's why he killed the members of the gang he thought he was part of. And this is very interesting because it reiterates the fact that a stigma crystal must use a real world person as a template when it manifests a body. It was the same with Mistaline and Cecilia, it was the same with Cele and Dark Cele, and apparently it's the same with these abnormal stigmata. They always use the data of a person in reality as a template for their body, and that's why they look like a person in reality. Moving on. We learned that Mistaline, in a way, feels responsible for this abnormal stigmata, and she's also driven by this this desire to discover what is the meaning of being alive. And she puts it very, very beautifully, that her definition of being alive is basically a being that tries to improve itself, to evolve, to be more, and that's why she wants to observe the development of this abnormal stigmata, and this is also one of the reasons why she wanted to go on this journey. But they apprehend abnormal stigma. And another interesting piece of information, this bubble universe here where they meet the abnormal stigmata number 13 is implied to be the same bubble universe where the Brani event took place, the Arc-like Unbound event. Again, further connecting the Captain verse and the main story. And basically confirming the fact that the Captain verse is canon. It's just that it never directly intersects with the main story, because I still see to this day many people claiming that Captain verse is not canon. It is. It's just not directly related to the main story yet. And as they continue to pursue these abnormal stigmata in the Sea of Quanta, they are led to another bubble universe, which is guarded by these strange monsters that are very, very similar to the monsters from APHO. And keep this in mind, we will not talk about this right now, but we will talk about this in the next stream, because this is a very important piece of information that will be relevant later. But they essentially sense another abnormal stigmata. They arrive in the Salt Snow Holy City, where they also meet Kira by accident. And after an altercation with Kira is basically... We don't... Initially, Kira follows them. She's kinda suspicious of them. We don't really know exactly why she follows them. But as the story progresses, Kira notices that Mistalin looks like Cecilia, which pisses her off even more. And it's finally nice to have a character acknowledge the fact that another character looks like some other character from the game, because this happened a lot with the current era and previous era and other lookalikes, when they never acknowledged the fact that they looked exactly like their counterparts. Why does Prometheus look so much like Bronya? I think it's just a design choice, because they tried to... Initially they went with this parallelism between the current era and the previous era, and because an AI is related to technology, it was fitting for Bronya, so they chose to give her that appearance. And after that we learned that the reason why the people in the current era and the previous era look the same is because they are basically the same people, but in different samsara cycles. But then again, Prometheus is an AI and Bronya is a real human. So Prometheus is technically not a Bronya, she just looks like a Bronya, which makes things even more confusing. Yeah, so the two of them get into a fight, and the fight is stopped by the actual sage of the high tower, who finally reveals herself. And there are a lot of sus things about this sage, right? It's the fact that she kinda looks eerily similar to Sele. She kinda looks like a grown-up version of Sele, and maybe the biggest thing, the fact that she shares the same VA in both Japanese and Chinese. And we know that Hoyoverse likes to draw some connections between characters when they share a VA. Not all the time, but lots of times it's the case. And we learned that she is actually an abnormal stigmata. But here's the thing. She is different from the other abnormal stigmata because the existence of the sage itself seems to be tied with the laws of the bubble universe. They realize that they cannot just remove her like they did with Chen Tianwu, because that would put the entire bubble universe in danger. And the sage demonstrates this by using her powers to stop the light from the tower for a few seconds, and we saw that the entire bubble universe gets thrown into chaos. So yeah, that it's again very, very interesting. And after that, we learned that the Sage and Mistalin and Prometheus made a deal, and the Sage basically asked Prometheus to help her manage the people of the city, and we learned that they also need Sela in this bubble universe for some reason, and they refer to her as Template. Now this is something that I want to touch upon again, but I will do it again after we do the entire recap. And basically this is where the recap for Act 2 ends, and we get into Act 3. Which again, not much is happening. This is just a game of everybody's sus of each other. We still try to figure out the motivation behind Prometheus, Mistalin, and the Sage's actions, but they try to keep this information hidden. Prometheus intentionally doesn't reveal information, saying that she reveals only what Mistalin thinks is safe to reveal. And after that, the action shifts more to Dark Cell and Senti trying to figure out the bubble universe, and we learn that the wisps in this bubble universe have the memories of living people from the other bubble universe that they normally shouldn't have, which again raises even more red flags. How do they have these memories? Are these people truly the souls of the departed, or is another force in play that mixes their memories or gives them access to memories that they shouldn't normally have? It is never truly revealed. But as they continue to explore more, they found Professor Rock Nanodesu, who is also in this bubble universe, and we learned that she was supposed to meet with Shigure Kira, but just like Dark Cell and the others, they were transported to different bubble universes, one in the Holy City and the other in the Country of Fire and Sand. Back into the Holy City, they decide to go and talk with another envoy of the Sage, which is supposedly a hermit that can predict the future and the fate of the people of the Holy City. And funnily enough, the Sage is actually Mistalin role-playing as the Sage, and she messes around with them, hoping to convince them to go and meet the Sage in person. But they are like, no, this is us, we don't trust you. And Mistalin tells them to go to the border and see for themselves the state of this bubble universe. Oh, and they also figure out by this point the fact that there are actually two bubble universes existing in the same place, which is very strange. And we learn from Mistalin that the other bubble universe, the country of Iron Sand, is in danger. And all the actions that she and Prometheus do are in accordance to save that bubble universe, which we still don't know why, or why it's in danger, or why do they need Sele. Nonetheless, they decide to go to the border. On the other side, again, Darkcell and Senti figure the same things out, and another big revelation is the fact that the moon above them is it's not really a moon, and it might be the other bubble universe, or a part of the other bubble universe, and that the moon itself is basically the tower from the Salt Snow Holy City. Now, we don't really know how they are really connected, and how is that supposed to be the tower. But if we see that they also depart for the border, and from the border we can clearly see that the moon doesn't have the shape of the actual moon, but that of the tower. And Darkcell again remembers the fact that in chapter 36 at the beginning, when she touched a piece of moon rock, she was able to sense the cinnamon roll Cele's presence. And they figure out that the moon rock is nothing more than rock salt that is falling from the moon, and has this strange property that is able to basically store the light from the tower, and it can be used by the residents of the country of Iron Sand to maintain their forms and not disappear. After that, we see both parties going to the border, where they both touch a piece of rock salt, and in the end we see the two Celes establishing a connection with each other after an entire chapter, and they are finally able to sense their presence and talk. Now from here there are many things that could happen. I know what's gonna happen, but I'm not gonna talk about it. Like I said, all I'm gonna say that it's very interesting, and I cannot wait for chapter 38 to be out on global so we can tackle those things. But for now, we are going to stop here with the recap and with the information. This scene doesn't make sense. Kira have voice abilities but can't tell who was behind the door, or vocal, I don't remember, or sounds something along the line. Which scene are you referring? With Mr. Lin that Kira didn't realize. I mean, it's true that she has sound abilities, but she wasn't using them at that time. But I wouldn't take that scene very seriously. It was meant to be more of a comedic relief, if anything. I got spoiled for the next Battlesuit, but luckily no story. Well, yeah, I think if you're on social media, there's no way for you not to be spoiled for the next Battlesuit. There's absolutely no way. If you're on Twitter or on Reddit, you will eventually get spoiled. And yeah, that's one of the major drawbacks of being in 4 weeks behind CN. Anyway, let me move back to the game. yeah, at least you have better planning for the game. That is true. Again, it's not only bad things. It has advantages in the sense that you can plan for future releases, and even I use this to my advantage a lot of the times. But from a story perspective, from a lore enjoyer's perspective, it's very, very difficult because I want to make theories on the game, but I can't because CN will always be ahead. So I have two choices. Either I ignore CN completely, I make my theories and have people telling me that either I'm wrong because this is what happens in CN, or I must be lying and I looked at CN and that's why my theory is right. And second, it's very, very difficult to, let's say that I choose to look at CN and make theories based on CN and said, you know what, fudge global, I don't care about the people on global, and I will say I will make theory on the chapter released on CN because I do not speak Chinese and I only rely on fan translated content. I don't have the full picture like I would have if I played the chapter for myself. And while I know that the people that do these translations are very, very good, and some of them are lore veterans who know a lot about the lore of the game, and I trust their input and their translation, I still feel like I'm missing some pieces of the puzzle. So I don't really like to try to make theories on things that are incomplete in my mind, if that makes sense. To be honest, explaining the lore instead of coming with theories is the appeal of the channel for me. I mean, yes, and it's also the fact that Honkai has very, very convoluted lore, so you basically need someone to explain it to you, which gives more value to my content, and I'm happy with it. I love to explain the lore, but sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I have these cool ideas that I want to talk about, and it's a bit off-putting not being able to because of this difference. I haven't played Honkai at all since Star Rail's release. Yeah, well, a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people took a break after the final arc of Part 1. I haven't played Genshin, to be honest, since since the release of Star Rail. For me, it was Genshin, the game that I took a break of. But I plan to go back before Fontaine releases to catch up with all the stuff I missed. I still have to explore the desert, man. Oh my god. I stopped following CN story closely because of all the misunderstandings and doom posting. Yeah, unfortunately there are a lot of misunderstandings, and that's more so not because the translations are poor, because I know the people that do these translations, especially on the official Honkai discourse. The people do a very good job at translating, but the problem is that people will not look at them closely and will misinterpret the translations a lot of the time, and yeah, a lot of misinformation is spreading. Even for chapter 28, because I'm also on Twitter and I saw a lot of people posting so much wrong information. But it is what it is. All I can do is wait for the chapter to come out on global and try my best to explain them. And hope to reduce the amount of false information that is spreading around as much as possible. Where can I read this translation? By Linux, you can go on the official Honkai Impact Discord on the lore channel and look at the pinned messages, and you will find there the translations for all the chapters in CN. So in Kevin's deliverance description, Shiksal, I'm assuming Einstein, Tesla and the others said something like Kevin is an existence even higher than the previous era finality. Yes, they mentioned that that Kevin is above the previous era Herrscher of finality. But that was pretty obvious from the chapter. I mean, she had the authority of finality plus all his power, so of course that he was above. But so was Kiana's case. So a few other things I wanted to touch upon regarding this chapter. First is the concept of life and death, because if we go to the chapter, and you know how they have the name for the big overarching story that they tell. We know that chapters 1 to 35 were the moon's origin and finality. Well, chapter 36 to however long this arc will last is called Dance of Life and Death, which is very, very interesting, because it seems that the concepts of life and death are the themes that are most central in this story. And who is associated a lot with the concept of life and death? You guessed, Sele. First, we have the butterfly, which is one of the main motifs behind her design, and we know that butterflies represent being reborn and represent resurrection due to their metamorphosis. And through various cultures around the world, they also represent the soul of the departed. In ancient Greece, for example, the butterflies are even called Psyche, which means mind or soul. And even her name means soul in German in the English localization. Not only that, she's also often associated with the Herrscher of Death from the previous era. And while we do not have any evidence to suggest that they are directly connected, besides the fact that they are most likely different iteration of the same person through the cycles of the samsara, they share an identical stigma. And despite its name, the powers of the Herrscher of Death are not related only to that. And we can see this even in the manga and the game, when they use the Gem of Serenity. For Kiana, for example, and for the Herrscher of the Void in game, the Gem of Serenity heals them. Kiana uses the Gem of Serenity to heal, while in the manga is used to harm, to decompose in the second eruption when we have the pseudo Herrscher of Death. And even in the later, I think it's Moon Shadow, if I'm not, with the whole experiment with Dr. Nagi, I think it's Moon Shadow if I remember correctly. But anyway, the point is that the power of the Herrscher of Death is more likely the power over life and death, not only that. And we see this even with the Abyss Flower, which is made from the core of the previous era Herrscher of Death, which has two different powers, and is composed by two different weapons, the Black Abyss, which has the power of destruction, and the White Flower, which has the power of healing. So yeah, that's very interesting how Sele is tied with this concept. Do you think that Herrscher will still be a big thing in part 2? Yes, I honestly think that Herrschers will always be a part of the story of Honkai Impact 3rd. And they could come up with a lot of reasons to bring them back. Because it's the name Herrscher in itself sells, and it's profitable for them to keep the concept of Herrschers around. And another thing related to the concept of life of death is this strange bubble universe itself. And And I saw a lot of people associating this bubble universe with heaven and hell. And while I'm not a big fan, since both of those are concepts of afterlife, while this bubble universe, like I said, it's meant to represent the world of living and the afterlife, it's basically the same. It embodies the same concept. I doubt they will bring back more Herschers though, since chapter 35, and they need to keep it fresh. I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The truth is, nobody knows. I just said that I think that they will always bring back Herschers, because I try to look at things not only from a lore perspective, but also from a financial incentive perspective, because at the end of the day, Honkai Impact is not a book, it's not a movie, it's not a show, it's a game, it's a gacha game that has to make money, enough money to be self-sustaining, right? And I see the idea and the concept of Herschers as something much too valuable for them to just ditch it like that. But I mean, who knows, maybe they will. That's just my perspective. And another interesting thing I wanted to talk about is the Sage of the High Tower. And based on Prometheus and Miscellaneous dialogue from chapter 37, it's important to make the distinction between the person that is the Sage right now, which is abnormal Stigmata number 14, and the idea of the Sage itself. Because based on what the people of the Bubble Universe said, the concept of the Sage existed way before the actual Sage was even born. But then comes the question, how can this abnormal Stigmata become the Sage? And this is just my initial speculation, but we know that Stigmata in essence are human narratives or human ideas that are projected in imaginary space. I'm not gonna go into detail on this. I have videos explaining Stigmata, and both Stigmata and Project Stigma, you can check them out on my channel. But I think that the concept of the Sage is just like a Stigmata, some sort of narrative of this world. And this abnormal Stigmata somehow took the form of this narrative when it was born. And due to the strange laws of the Sea of Quanta and Stigmata, I believe that she became the embodiment of this Sage of the High Tower when that the people of this bubble universe believed in. And again, the Sage is also related to Cele. Like I said during the summary, we know that Stigma crystals use real humans as templates when they form a body, just like Miscellaneous Cecilia, just like abnormal Stigmata number 13 used Chen Tian Wu. And maybe it's something similar with the current Sage and Cele. Maybe she's used the Cele in the real world as a template for her existence. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to touch upon is why do I think that Cinnamon Rose Cele and Dark Cele will not go back to being one, to being two souls in a single body anymore. And this is the theme of separation that I believe is the end goal of this story arc. If we think at Dark Cele, what is she? Who is she? We learn that she is a form/stigma crystal born as a response to Cele's desire for protection. And throughout the series, Cele relies on her to protect herself in the face of danger. But slowly, after the Sea of Quanta story arc, we see Cele trying to not depend on Dark Cele that much for everything she does. And this is best seen during the Her of Domination arc, when she wanted to solve her problems by herself. Unfortunately, at that time the enemy was way beyond her level, and she had to rely again on Dark Cele. And later, during this arc, the whole detective investigation in Agazora, she didn't call upon Dark Cele at all, showing her growth and determination to pull through on her own. And similarly to Cinnamon Roll Cele, Dark Cele also has her own struggles. The issues with her are the fact that she had a continuous identity crisis ever since she was born. What was she? Was she a human? A monster? And chapter 23 focuses a lot on her trying to find an identity for herself. She has this lingering fear that one day Cele will not need her anymore, and that's why she's so mad at her when she sees that she's getting closer to Kiana. She is getting closer to other people, and she's making more friends because her entire identity revolves around protecting Cele. So she feared that if Cele grew strong enough to where she didn't need her anymore, she will lose her only sense of self. So both of them were kinda dependent on each other, but as time passed they kinda learned to give each other more space and grow. And that's also why I think that the two of them will remain separated from now on, because it makes sense from the direction the story is going. When Dark Cele was born, she was a necessary presence in Cele's life because she was weak, she was a child that couldn't protect herself, but as she continued to grow, she doesn't need protection anymore, especially now. And Dark Cele always tried to tie her identity to Cinnamon Cele to a point where it became kinda toxic, for a lack of a better word. When I thought about them, I always associated their relationship with that of a child and a parent, as when we are children, we need our parents to be constantly present in our lives because we don't really have the necessary means to survive, right? And after we became adults, we kinda break off and become independent. And I think that's something that it's similar with the two Celes. They needed each other to be always together at that moment in their lives, but I think that separating could help them grow even more. Yeah, so these were the main points I wanted to touch upon. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them, but please give me a second. I have to take a bathroom break, and I will be back in 2 minutes. Alright, and I'm back. If you have any questions, please ask. Any things that are still not clear from these two chapters. I was very busy talking, so I didn't pay that much attention to chat, so I might have missed some questions, but please ask again. And I hope that you won't mind me doing the Abyss while we answer questions, because I haven't done this cycle this week, and it's pretty, I mean, it's not pretty late, but it's kinda late here, so I want to finish it. And let me put on some music. Wow, we do this. Let me know how the audio is. Too loud, too low. Homo gameplay, yeah, Homo gameplay. Is she away from Honkai Star Rail version? You know, she might be. I don't know. I don't think she is, but she's strangely associated with the same concept of life and that Cele is associated with. And she has the same short hairstyle, similar to Dark Cele. So I can totally see why some people believe that she's a Cele variant. I also had this thought crossing my mind, but I don't know. We have no official information on this to confirm. Maybe a little too loud. Okay, sorry. Let me see. Okay, let me see now. Again, I apologize. This is a new playlist, so I need to figure out, because apparently the music I use is mixed differently. So an audio setting that I use for one is not the same as the other. No better, no better. You know what? I'll lower it even more. Okay, and you'll have the opportunity to see some exclusive Homo Labs gameplay. I don't even know what. Physical. Is it shield break time? Yeah, I think so. This should work. But let me know what's your opinions regarding this chapter. Did you especially I'm interested how are people perceiving this chapter in comparison to the last story arc, because I know that the finale of part 1 had a lot of complaints from various people about being too confusing and having a lot of scientific lingo that many didn't understood. And I'm curious, what's your opinion on this chapter compared to the previous one? Can you explain the concept of Herschel evolution? I get that Kiana and Mei got evolved because they get new cores, but I didn't understand Bronya. I think when you say Herschel evolution, you're referring to metamorphosis. Basically, some of the Herschel cores are not fully awaken when they initially get a host, and that was the case with many Herschel before on the weaker side that we saw, like Wendy, for example, and it was the same with the core of reason. Basically, the Herschel of reason was never able to fight at full power. But other Herschels like Mei, like Kiana, when she became the Herschel of Flame Scion, managed to fully awaken their powers, meaning that they had access to the full potential of their Herschel powers at that time. The Hersher of Reason had a problem because it was fragmented, meaning that it was, instead of a Hersher core anchored in a single point, it was dependent on the souls of the people that died in the first Honkai eruption. And that is why it was never able to ascend and basically allow the Hersher of Reason to use the full power. And what Bronya did during chapter 33 was basically not rely on those souls anymore, basically in a way ditch them and awaken the core by herself to be able to use the full extent of the power of the Hersher of Reason. And what does that mean? We knew that until that point that the Hersher of Reason can only create things that it understood. Wait, my controller. Not good. Things that it understood. Well, after it ascended and Bronya became Hersher of Truth, she could create literally anything. She didn't have to understand them anymore. She just had to imagine them. Which makes more sense because, again, imaginary energy, right? You should be able to basically create anything. And that's the whole thing behind the Hersher of Truth. Yeah, Jose, let's not talk about the Hersher of Reindeer for now. Like I said, let's wait for the announcement to come up on Global, and after chapter 38 will be out, I will do another stream, don't worry, and we will talk about everything that happens in chapter 38 and everything related to the Hersher, because I know a lot of people are confused. Okay, I'm liking this arc. I'm enjoying this arc more than the end of part 1, awesome. I liked it quite a bit. Atreus being the... Yeah, I also appreciate the interaction between Senti and Darkcella. Please explain the Grey Serpent part of the current arc. Okay, so the part with Grey Serpent, after chapter 34, the Grey Serpent network collapsed. Basically that means that they were not a hive mind anymore, and each of them gained basically independence. They were able to form their own thoughts and basically do their business separately from each other. They cannot share their thoughts anymore. And we learn from this Grey Serpent that not all Grey Serpents are born complete. In fact, quite a lot of them are born incomplete, meaning that they have basically they don't have a personality. They are just a hunk of metal. And to combat that, when the network was still around, they used to collect data and give these incomplete Grey Serpents basically a personality and make them function. But now, since the network is down, unfortunately this is not possible anymore, so all the Grey Serpents that were incomplete will stay that way. And this Grey Serpent from this chapter was one of the incomplete ones, but it managed to gain a personality right before the network's collapse. And after he realized how feeble he was and how different from a human he was just a machine that was basically lucky enough to survive and given this chance to be there. He wanted to become more like more human-like, very similar to, in a way, with Mystaline and Prometheus, who are also non-humans who still wander about humanity. So he basically used remaining mechs from World Serpent to create the image of this false organization called Incognito to distract the people around from his true plan, and that was to steal bionic prosthetics in order to make himself more human-like, to give himself more human future in hopes of becoming more and more like a human. But unfortunately, as we saw in the chapter, he ended up dead in the Sea of Quanta. Now, why that happened, we still do not know in the current version of the story. But wink wink, hopefully we will find out why. And that's pretty much the deal with Grey Serpent. Okay, I need to maneuver around here. No. Homolabs, do you think that Hoyo will connect officially all the games, maybe in Honkai Star Rail? They love money and connecting is a source of big cash. I mean, they kinda already did with wealth being there, but I think I get what you mean. You mean a more direct connection, like seeing more characters between worlds. And no, I don't think so. Maybe during some events, and only some events. But nothing too crazy, because you have to understand that not everybody plays all the Hoyoverse games, so in a way it wouldn't make sense for them to connect them to such a degree where it would require for you to play one game to understand the other. I think that would do more harm than do good. So no, I don't think that they will ever connect them in a very direct manner, like Avengers level of crossover. But instead they will try to do Easter eggs and share some similarities when it comes to the themes of the story, and of course the cosmology, the imaginary tree, the Sea of Quanta, which is basically the same for every game in the Honkaiverse. Homolabs, oh, I'm sure that they will, and they don't care if it doesn't make sense. Marvel did it, so someday they will. I mean, I don't know. Like I said previously, when I look at these things, I try to put on my business goggles, not my lore enthusiast goggles. As a lore enthusiast, trust me, I would like them to go full on Marvel. I want to see Kiana in Star Rail in Genshin. Trust me, I would like it. But if I put my MiHoYo CEO goggles and I try to maximize profit and not alienate the player base, I wouldn't do it. But again, this is just my opinion. Who knows? I think there's a possibility of K423 Kiana appearing in Honkai Star Rail, but maybe that's just copium. I mean, you never know. I wouldn't say it's impossible for her to appear. But I don't think it will be more than a cameo or a mention or a very brief appearance that doesn't hold much significance. I don't think that Kiana will ever go to Star Rail, will hit Stella with a baseball bat and say, now I'm the protagonist, bitch, and take over. I don't think that will do something that drastic. What if GGZ Kiana appeared instead? Well, I don't think so, because she left this universe. She left the entire imaginary tree with me at the end of Reborn, so she's gone. Range, really? Oh, let's go Mobius. A Star Rail and Captain Verse would be fun, but lore might scare Star Rail's only players away. The Captain Verse lore scares the Honkai Impact third players away. Imagine what would do to the Star Rail people. But I always use this comparison, because for me at least, when I look at Star Rail, it's just basically Captain Verse, but on the imaginary tree. And the Captain Verse is basically just Star Rail, but in the Sea of Quanta. Because it's the same principle behind both. Traveling through different worlds, or bubble universes, exploring this mysterious phenomena, stellarons, ether anchors, like... There are a lot of similarities. So, and this is also the analogy I like to use when Honkai Impact third players ask me, please explain Star Rail to me, and I'm like, Captain Verse but on the imaginary tree. Do you think it is plausible to assume that there are multiple cocoons of finality going around the imaginary tree? Honkai definitely exists in multiple forms, and the cocoon of finality just seemed to appear to be a user of Honkai energy. Honestly, this is something I plan to talk about in my video explaining the concept of Honkai verse, but yeah, I think that there could be multiple cocoons of finality, or being similar to the cocoon of finality. Because interestingly enough, both GGZ and Honkai Impact Earth ended Part 2, respectively Part 1, around the same time. And again, I only read fan translations, but I even got mixed opinions on this. But some people that I trust, I know that they follow the story for a long time and they know what they are talking about, pointed out that I initially thought that the Honkai in Honkai Impact Third and in GGZ came from separate entities, but after talking a bit with these people, now it's more so the case that they actually come from the same place, and the cocoon of finality and the being behind Honkai and GGZ are the same kind of energy beings, but a little bit different in nature, but they basically are the same, and that Honkai comes from some sort of ascended civilization that is beyond this universe, meaning that it is beyond the imaginary tree, in both GGZ and Honkai Impact Third. But again, we still lack a lot of information about GGZ itself, because a lot is lost in translations to to say for sure like this is it, this is how it works. We can only speculate. In what way do you think would Honkai manifest in Genshin Impact? Well, if you look at Honkai as collapsed imaginary energy, which is explained in the anti-entropy visual novel, under the influence of the cocoon of finality, I think the idea of Honkai can manifest in any way, shape or form that the entity that is behind it wants it to be. You can say that elemental energy in Genshin Impact is a form of Honkai. You can say that the forbidden knowledge or the corruption could be a form of Honkai in Genshin. So there are multiple perspectives that you can look at it. Oh, my good friend Auto Apocalypse. I don't know about you guys, but I hate this boss. It's not fun at all. This may sound stupid, but I think there could be a Honkai civilization sending out cocoons of finality. In the imaginary tree, definitely opposed Honkai, while in Honkai Impact. Yeah, that's also one of the theories that is going around right now. No, I messed up the rotation, should have switched out. But whatever, it's Red Lotus, it's not like I have to mold here. Alright, enemy is done. This may be a stupid question, but what is the goal right now? We have defeated the Honkai. What is everyone doing right now? I mean, I think they will set up a new antagonist for the next part. I mean, we already have the Sky people for APHO, and if APHO or the APHO timeline will become the basis for part 2, they can set up a lot of new threats in the universe. Just like the Sky people, we know that there are countless other civilizations out there that are very, very dangerous, and that's something that pops up a lot in the discussions that Kevin and Dr. May have about the stars. Like when Dr. May says that each star in the sky can be an alien civilization that is waiting to harm us. Thank you for subscribing, Dark Seal. So at this point they could bring out any new threat that they want if they want to go with on that route. And also this arc, I think that will set up with will set up a new villain. I still think that Vita is very sus, and I still theorize that she will betray us at the end, and she will be another villain we'll have to deal with. Now, I don't know if she will only be for this arc, or they plan to set her up for the bigger story, maybe even part 2. We'll have to see, but I'm sure that they will set up a new threat. Because you have to have an antagonistic force to work with the story. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And yeah, Honkai in a way is still there. I'm still waiting to see what part 2 is, what it entails. It is still this world. Maybe they will say, okay, you know what, we will still have APHO3, and after that we will say goodbye to this world and start over in another world where the threat of the Honkai was never solved. They never gave us any information about that. And we start over with new Hershers, new Ado that is different from another world that has its own shenanigans. I don't know, they never gave us any piece of information about part 2. And it's hard to theorize unless we have something tangible to work with. Do you think that the real Sue is still alive and could come back? The end of the second key manga mentioned that he basically died and only his spirit ascended to a higher plane. But I do think that he could come back, because while they say that he died, it's clear that he made contact with a higher dimensional power that works on the that is above Honkai itself, and it works on the 11 dimensions set up by the Honkai universe in different media. So I think that we can see Sue again. Maybe in another form, maybe as something ascended, maybe not as Sue as we know him. I don't know. Maybe a neon Sue. That would be interesting to see. No more Ado, please. Why not? I honestly wouldn't mind if they bring Ado back to the story as a villain. Do you think Welt will return for APHO3 since Alien Space manga was set after APHO events? Well, while we do not have a confirmed chronology, I do think that APHO3 will still be before Alien Space. Because by the time Alien Space takes place, it's implied that they already solved the threat of the Sky People. So I think we could see Welt in APHO3, because it's still before he left with Void Archives. And that would be cool. Imagine playable Welt in APHO3. That's all I ask for. I know that they will never put male characters in the base game, but please, Hoyoverse, give us playable Welt in APHO3. Imagine him going around with the cane and bunking people with black holes. Because as much as I love Star Rail, right, and I'm happy that we have Welt playable there, but a turn-based game, it's not the same as an action game, you know? The gameplay, it's not the same. I would like to have a Welt that actually moves, I can actually control and do cool stuff with. Maybe APHO3 would explain how they went into the Honkai Star Rail universe. That would be cool. I mean, Alien Space kinda explains it already. It's that what I think it is, I also mentioned this on Twitter, I think that they basically retconned the ending of Alien Space, and instead of Kira and the Sugars saving them, it's actually Himeko and the Express. And they didn't return home like they said, and they remained with the Express. I think that's the most likely scenario, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Because, and I also don't think that Reborn 2 is canon. I think that Reborn 2 is just a concept trailer for the initial idea. Because if you watch the, if you read the interview that the producer of the Honkai series had with the Trail series producers, they talked about their initial concept for Honkai Star Rail, and they mentioned that Honkai Star Rail was supposed to start on Earth, on the Honkai Impact Earth initially, and I think that's what Reborn 2 is meant to represent, their initial vision. What I get was APHO is 8 years after Part 1 finale, so 2017 plus 8, APHO starts in 2025. And by the Alien Space manga, they will end the Sky People threat on 2029. Yes, there's also a problem with the dates making little sense, because it doesn't look like 4 years have passed between APHO 2 and Alien Space. It looks like they will deal with alien invaders quite rapidly. But yeah, we still lack a lot of information. We really need APHO 3 to bridge that gap between Alien Space and APHO 2. But since Alien Space is also at this point is a pretty old manga, I wouldn't expect everything to be canon. I do think that, like I said, the ending and maybe even the dates or some other things might be retconned. Because it's clear that they made that manga when they were very early in the planning phase for the story and the concept of Star Rail. And of course they change a lot of stuff, so it won't completely hold up with all the information that we know now. And no, this is something common. It's not the first time that they retcon stuff. Homo, are you going to make a new story recap? Yes, I will do, but I will do the story recap once everything is finished. Because this arc is a lot more easier to digest, so I don't think it warrants me doing a recap for each chapter individually like I did with the previous story arc. So I will do just one big video with every chapter once everything is over. Hey AP, you're playing right now. Well, the timing, right? Doc, let's not mention things from the next chapter, please. Okay, I wait for the video. I like your content. Thank you. Well, I hope that I still work on a lot of videos, so I don't know when I'll have time. But I hope that by the time that this arc is finished, I will be able to do it. To be honest with you guys, I was a little bit burned out after the release of Star Rail, because I was working on 2 videos at the same time, which took a toll on me, and I wanted to bring them out before Star Rail was released. And after that I worked on the Himeko video without taking a break, which a little bit burned me out. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Uh, so yeah, I kinda appreciated this little break I took from making content, because right now I'm very motivated, and like I said, I'm working on 3 videos on at the same time, and strangely enough, I don't feel burnt out at all. On the contrary, I'm very excited to be working on all of them, but I will not rush them. I want to take my time, and when they will be ready, they will be ready. Because I realized that when I try to behave like an actual content creator, like trying to be consistent and trying to tackle popular topics that do well with the public, but maybe I don't really want to talk about them that much like I want to do others, I just burn myself out. So I said, you know, it really, it's not worth it for me to burn out, to be consistent and to try to be a proper content creator. I will do things in my own way, and I will talk about things I really feel like I want to talk, and yeah, I don't want to repeat the Star Wars release. And to be fair, that wasn't about that burnout didn't came because I didn't want to talk about those things. It came because I tried to rush them. And I feel like if you look at the videos, you can feel that they are a little bit rushed, especially the intro guide to Honkai Star Rail. One thing I regret there is that I didn't take my time to explain the workings of the universe a little bit in more depth, and I just brushed over like this is how it works. You should believe me on my word, and should have gave more information on that part, but that's why I'm working on a new video explaining everything. Just take your time though. Yeah, that's what I'll do. This is why I took that break. And like I said, right now I'm feeling a lot better and much more motivated. And yeah, it was a blast working on these 3 videos that I'm working right now. Thank you for subscribing, Nervius. I hope I don't butcher that too much. Show me your motivation. You'll see when the videos will come out. For example, this video I'm working on, which again is about what we talked today, this recent story arc, is a lot longer than my usual videos. And this is after I cut out almost half of it. Because there were so many things I wanted to talk about and so many things I wanted to explain that took my interest, and I thought they are relevant. So I'm very excited for you guys to see that video. I hope that by next week it will be out, sometimes around Saturday or Sunday. I don't think I will stream next week because I want to take my time working on these videos, but I'll try to bring out a new video the next week and the week after, right before Kira's release, because the video about Kira is very short, because it's not much about her background. It's less than 10 minutes. I think it's 7 or 8, maybe not even that, honestly. And I still have the big video about the entire cosmology, which will be a very long one, and I have no freaking idea when it will be out. Keeping up with Honkai Impact or Lore is a nightmare. I mean, yeah, it is. I honestly really hoped that this transitional arc, part 1.5, will be a lot more chill and will allow me to take a break and not focus so much on the lore, so I can catch up with Star Rail, right? Because I plan to make content on Star Rail as well. And I finished the main story. I'm still catching up with some of the text, some of the descriptions in that game. But man, after after what I saw on the chapter 38 translations, they really don't want to give us a break. They really don't. But yeah, I'll tackle that when I get there. There's a lot to read on Star Rail though. Yeah, I know, trust me, I know. But I'm taking my time even with that game. And I hope that one day I'll get to a place where I'm comfortable to start and make content seriously, like I did with Honkai Impact 3rd. Because before I started making lore content for Honkai Impact 3rd, I was already into lore by a lot. I was reading a lot, I was exploring a lot of the lore a few months prior for me even attempting to make a video on the lore of the game. So yeah, with Star Rail I'm still in that phase where I want to assimilate as much as possible before I really start getting into making content seriously about that game. But take your time and I hope you won't get burned out again. Yeah, I also hope that. That's why I'm taking my time. But who knows? And any creative work is very fickle. You don't really know when you will get burned out or how easily can you get burned out. You have to. I think what's the best approach is to experiment with things and find what works best for you. Because I know people that can work on 5 or 6 videos at the same time, drop content every few days and they're still not burnt out. I personally can't. I need to distance a bit. Even a video once 2 weeks seemed a little bit much to me. That's why I started doing these live streams, because it's an easier way to provide content without me working on a video all the time. And that's why I also like to do shorts these days, especially for ideas that I don't think that require a video and work very well in a short format, are very easy to present and interesting. How far are you in the story of Star Rail? I finished the main story, I finished every companion mission, every side mission, I finished literally everything. Right now I'm catching up on reading the lore, from the relics, from weapons, from the data bank. I want to read every book in the game. So yeah. I thought the Cell story would be confusing at the end because of the new Hersher. I mean, from what I saw, now I think that they took the feedback from the last arc, and I think that this story arc is not that confusing, as it's a lot easier to follow. And I was a bit worried when Schrödinger showed up in the story in Anodeso, because I thought that, oh boy, Schrödinger is here, let's prepare myself for another quantum physics lesson. But no, I mean, even Schrödinger's explanations were pretty easy to understand, on point. I don't think there was anything that outrageous like chapter 33. So yeah, so far I really think that they took the feedback from the previous arc and tone it down, with the scientific explanations. Which, don't get me wrong, I love when they get into science stuff in the game, because I want to know how these things work, and I appreciate that they go to the lengths to think about all this stuff, right? For them it makes sense, and they want to present that information to us players to understand everything better, and I really appreciate that. But I also think that you need to strike a balance between how you present all that information and do not overcomplicate stuff, which they did a bit, unfortunately, in the last arc, and I think that also unfortunately impacted very negatively the opinion of the community. But yeah. Yes, I was also scared at first when she appeared. I wish Schrödinger would have a chance to be more of a character like in the visual novels instead of just being an exposition dump. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but it's a bit hard given that she's basically just a mess of a mess of thoughts. So can you explain Schrödinger's purpose? She confuses me so much every time she appears. I mean, if you want to look at Schrödinger's backstory, I suggest looking at the anti-entropy visual novel where you learn. Basically, she very in tune with her name. Her body got decomposed, and I don't even have the the right words. Give me a second. He became some sort of bodiless quantum entity that can exist in the sea of quanta, but she has no mass or form, and she can attach herself to different things in different worlds. That's how we see her popping out at random moments of the story, because she's basically just this living materialization of thoughts that can just hop through bubble universes in the sea of quanta, or even through the real world, and just attach herself to random objects and talk to the people. And that's why we see her popping off here and there and talking with people. But she had a much more active role in the Durandal visual novel, where she kinda had a body for a time in that bubble universe. There was some special conditions there, and she felt more like a character than like Duck said, just someone that pops out and gives us a lot of exposition dumps, like she does in the more recent story. Yeah, basically she's alive and dead at the same time. You just think at Schrödinger's cat and you got the idea. Are you going to make a video about Captain Verse? Honestly, if they keep bringing the Captain Verse up like they did in the recent events, I will be forced to make one in the near future. I tried to put it off. I always wanted to make one because it's so much information in the Captain Verse. So I was okay, I want to do one, but not right now, you know. But if they keep bringing it up more and more, I will be forced to do one, because it becomes again, Captain Verse becomes again very relevant for the game, and I feel like many people are confused, so I will have to do one soon enough. But yeah, until that, there are a lot of materials if you want to read on the Captain Verse. I know that Sacron has an entire document going into details about everything related to the Captain verse if you want to learn more about. There are materials for the people who want to know more even now, but I don't think there are any videos going into details on the Captain verse. Oh, Territory Magical, yes, Territory Magical Girl is a Captain verse event. And they announced another Captain verse event in 6.8. And that's why I said that if they keep bringing it up as much as they do now, I will be forced to make a video. Captain versus Captain verse, the main story is more important. I would say both of them are important in their own way. Is the Tetris event gonna get a continuation? Cause I need... cause it ended on a cliffhanger, but I'm not into the Captain verse at all, so I don't know what's going on there. Presumably, we don't know for sure, but I would think that it's a continuation. Presumably, yes, it will get a continuation. Because it would be kind of a bad move for them to leave us on that cliffhanger and never bring it up again. Also, guys, this is the last chip space. Fortunately, we will be freed from our suffering. As a Genshin and Star Rail player, this conversation is confusing, Lamau. Are you referring to the Captain verse? Trust me, it's confusing even for a Honkai Impact third player. But yeah, I can see why. Could the Captain verse be related to Honkai Star Rail somehow? Directly, no. Are they in the same cosmology universe? Yes. Technically, they could be directly related, but they are not. For now, they are separate stories that happen in the same universe. Let's say that. That would be the best description. I feel that the new replacement for the cheap space won't be good either. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think that they can do much worse than this, honestly. And fun fact, I actually enjoyed Chip Space the first time it came around. I thought it was alright. The problem is that they keep bringing it back. And I know that it replaced Blockade and they have to bring it back every patch or so to give people the opportunity to farm those materials. But after a time it became insufferable. Will you spend your gear or saving for the future battlesuit? I will try to get her weapon, but I won't go too much in. I think I will go 30 or 40 pulls, and if I'm lucky to get her weapon, awesome. If not, I'll make do with what I have, because I really want to go all in for the next battlesuit. But I know that usually people talk about how unlucky they are in the gacha games they play, but to be fair, in this game I was always pretty lucky. So hopefully I will get her weapon, and that's it. I won't go for the Stigmata. But isn't it already confirmed that Kiana has to return for part 2 at least? I mean, they haven't confirmed anything regarding Kiana. Those are just assumptions at this point. But I hope that will make a return. Imagine being me and getting HOV battlesuit right after chapter 9, Mihoyo just basically spat on my face, Lemao. Yeah, I imagine that would be weird. The thing about SPGers is that it doesn't show up again for around 6 or 8 months. Didn't they bring up some SPGR? If I remember correctly, they brought up the gear for one of the recent SPs earlier. But maybe I don't remember correctly. But yeah, I know that the SP gear is usually very important, especially for sports, but the thing is, so is the next battlesuit if you want a physical team. And for now, Kira is only very important for the new boss that will come out in the next patch. And to be honest, you can just cheese that boss even without her gear, only with her weapon. And she's only much better than Pardo for her share of human ego. For other ice DPSs, there's not that much of a difference between her and Pardo. Of course, data update. Humulabs, will you do a watch along or some kind of other for this Hyperion launch? Honestly, I don't think I will, mostly because I already know everything that's coming out in this chapter, so it wouldn't really be much of a reaction from me. And it's also the fact that the Hyperion launch happens at 5 AM in my country, so I'm never awake to watch them when they are live. So yeah, unfortunately I don't think I will. But if they will ever do a major live stream, I don't know, maybe when they do the CN anniversary live stream, maybe I do a watch along then. And maybe I wanted to do for Star Rail when patch 1.1 was initially supposed to came out, and some stuff came up and I was busy, I couldn't do it, and I'm glad that I didn't, because it was the same live stream that got postponed by one day, so it would have been pointless anyway, so I got lucky there. I don't have Pardos and Sushang sticks, so I kinda feel like I should go for Kira, but hoping she'll be nice to me and I can afford the 6.8 battlesuit. Well, I wish you good luck, honestly. Hopefully you'll get the gear and you won't have to go to PT too many times. Something similar happened to me with Susana. I honestly only wanted to go for her weapons, but I did 20 pulls, and in 20 pulls I already had 2 of her Stigmata and her weapon, and I was only missing 1 of her Stigmata, and I was like, okay, you know what, if I already have 3 out of 4, I might as well go for the last one. But unfortunately the last piece come after the 30 pull PT, so I wasn't very lucky with that. But yeah. I see we are talking about Kiana's return, and yeah, we don't have any confirmation, but yeah, it's very likely that she will, because if you remember that in chapter 35 they mentioned that it will take her between 5 and 10 years to finish her job on the moon, and APHO happens 8 years in the future, which is exactly in the time window that Kiana mentioned. And I can see her being the central figure of APHO 3, because if you look at APHO as a series, each part of APHO focused on one of the main trios so far. Part APHO 1 was about Mei, APHO 2 was Bronya, and it would make sense for APHO 3 to be Kiana. But again, it's nothing confirmed. We do not have any official information that would suggest that she will make a return. We can only speculate. Homolabs, do you think that the being Sumet in the manga is a neon now that Honkai Star Rail has introduced them? I don't know. It could be, but it acted awfully friendly for a neon, because we know that Eons are pretty distant to humans. They don't really like to interact or don't really care about humans, and they prefer to throw glances at humans, not really talk with them. And this entity that Sue met was pretty talkative for a neon. I mean, maybe it was aha, and that's why it liked to talk that much. But I don't know. It could be. It could be. Maybe that's a ha. Yeah, but to me it sounded way too serious for it to be a ha. Like, I don't see a ha wanting to play a game of Go with you. Hello, hello, Kasumi. I'm pretty good, pretty good. Just finished my dailies. I kinda hope that they will redo APHO in the main story. The open world is buggy. Honestly, I don't think that will happen. I mean, the whole appeal behind APHO is that it's open world. And I think that APHO, at least for me, it was pretty well optimized when comparing to the open world from the main story. What's your thoughts on my man Sampo? He seems a little bit sus for me. I mean, you know, like everybody else, he is either a masked fool. I mean, we know for sure that he has a connection with the masked fools, since he mentioned the bar in, I forgot the galaxy name, I think it's Epsilon something, which we know from multiple places that is a gathering point for the mask foe. And he also might be a Stellaron hunter, because we know that basically our journey is in accordance with Elias' script, right? And since we have Kafka and Blade guiding us to the Lofu and manipulating the events so that we are there to help the Shenzhou out and earn their trust and favor for the future, I can totally see Sampo being also a Stellaron hunter that was sent by Elliot to Belobog to set the stage up for us. Because if you look at everything that happens in Belobog, Sampo is kinda the root, the cause for everything. He plays a vital role in our journey there. And many theorize that he might be Sam, another one of the Stellaron hunters that was mentioned, because, you know, Sampo. But yeah. I'm not familiar with Honkai Impact. Can you show units? Are you interested in somebody specifically? Or do you want me to show you my units? If you played Cyrell, this is Sele in Honkai Impact 3rd. I'm not gonna show everybody, but a couple. This is Sushang, Princess and the Dervertulang, also Asuka. Luckily, I have her at double S, so technically I could still use her, just for flex. May spell but tall. I mean, kinda. Asuka from Honkai Impact 3rd. I have her Stigmata, not the original one, because I just come back to the game when the event was going on, because I started the game in, I think it was 3.9, and from 3.9 to 4.4 I was playing on and off. I was logging in for a few days, then I would forget about it for a week or two, then I was logging back, and I only started playing seriously during the Evangelion collab. But I wasn't a spender back then, and I didn't realize the value of those Stigmata, so I didn't go for them. I don't have even her weapon. I usually use Abyss Flower on her, which honestly is the best weapon for her. Are you going for the summer outfits in the next patch, and which of them? Uh, I won't go for Kiana because it's just too expensive for me, and with the new battlesuits on the horizon, I will not be able to afford her. But I might go and buy the discounted one for either May or Bronya. I'm still not sure which one I would like. I think I'm going for May. But yeah, I think I might buy one with the B chips, but I won't pull for the gacha pyramid one. Do you think that May and Kiana will appear in Honkai Star Rail in the future? I think a version of May and Kiana will appear, like similar to Bronya and Sele, a different version of them from another world, but I don't think that our Kiana and May will appear in Star Rail. Or if they will appear, it won't be in any significant way. I missed the entire EVA event because I had technical issues. Never missed a day of login since. Yeah, that must suck. And it's too bad because they will never bring this event back again. That's why I'm so glad that I managed to get Asuka. Funny how Project Stigma is basically a reference to Eva. Yeah. As a Himeko adorer, I just I just got every variation of her, and then I was done with the gacha Lemao, but I'm just a casual player, so yeah, I'm pretty sure I won't last long in the end game content. Well, unfortunately, none of the Himekos are useful in the end game content. You might use some of them as a buffer in Memorial Arena for double S bosses if you have Blood Dance, but that's pretty much all the usage they have, besides ER if you want to play. I also have pretty much every Himeko in the game, and occasionally, like I said, I only use them as Blood Dance carriers in Memorial from time to time. Hello, Cranzy. Pretty good. It's pretty good. Welcome. Agony 3 maybe? I mean, yeah, in Agony you can get away with pretty much anyone. I even saw people using White Comet in Agony 3 and doing really well with her. It's just me who considers Dua Lego a very underrated song. Why do you say it's underrated? Because they forgot about it in both concerts. Hopefully they will bring it back in the next one. But yeah, HOV was one of my favorite characters when I started the game. Even by then she wasn't meta anymore of anything, but I went out of my way to get her Stigma and her weapon. And I got her B-chip skin. I paid real money for this. That's how much I liked her. And I only buy B-chip skins for the characters that I really like. And it was HOV, and another one that I spent money was Silverwing. I went all in on Stigmata and weapon for HOF and HOO, but I didn't get any of HOT's sticks or weapon. Is Turk the only real other Stigmata for her? If you're referring to Usher of Truth, Turgenev is a good replacement, yes, it's a good general elemental support, so you can use it. And it's a bit difficult because her Shore of Truth is the most important part of the trio, and her Stigmata should be prioritized even before Kiana's and May's. But yeah, if I were in your place, I would definitely take the next opportunity for to get her Stigmatas, because they are very, very important, and the Horshor trio is, at least for now, and I'm sure that for a couple of more patches they are extremely broken. Even in Red Lotus you can basically cheese your way on certain weathers that are not meant for them and get really, really high scores. Are you saving for someone in Star Rail? Well, for now I want to get Luocha, just because I wanted the playable Arrow for a long time. If you watch my Arrow video, you know how much I like that man as a character, so I really won't miss the chance to get him in Star Rail. Hot take, I'm not that interested in Kafka. Honestly, if I have to choose between Kafka and Blade, I would rather take Blade. I know that this is a very, very hot take, but I don't really like her play style, centered at that damage. And I really, really would like a wind DPS, so Blade is a lot more up in my alley. But yeah, I will get Luocha for sure, and if I'm lucky with my pulls, I hope to get Blade as well. I like Auto too. I just hope Luocha doesn't do anything bad in this universe. Yeah, I don't think that will happen. I don't think that they will make it. I mean, it would be interesting to see a good version of Atto, like the Atto from the Bubble Universe in Chapter 11. But they already raised a ton of red flags with Luocha, and they went out of their way to make that man as sus as possible. So I don't know. I would go for Kafka though, because she works well with Serval. Serval, yes, she does. That's what I heard. Anyway, I think I will stop here for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was a nice stream. Hopefully I was able to help you in any way to understand the latest story arc better, and I will stream again. I don't think so next week, but the week after that. Most likely it will be a Star Rail related stream, and we will resume the Honkai Impact lore streams after chapter 38 is out in global, so we will have a lot more to talk. And trust me guys, the next chapter will be crazy. I cannot wait to be able to share my ideas and thoughts with you. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. All of you have a nice day, a nice evening, and we will see you again next time. Bye bye.